out in front of Dunwoody Prep.
The motive is simple. He wanted his wife, he wanted his money, and he wanted to live his life. He wanted Andrea Sneiderman. He wanted to be with her. He wanted to marry her. He wanted Rusty Sneiderman's money. Rusty Sneiderman had everything that Hemy Neuman wanted.
Did Andrea admit or deny an affair with her boss at that time after the murder?
Denied it.
Based on all the time you've known Andrea, based on your observations of her, her mannerisms, when she told you no, did you believe her?
No, but my heart really wanted to believe her.
But you didn't believe her. Thank you, ma'am.
So, yeah.
We, the jury, find the defendant as to count 1 guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but mentally ill.
It's more than about mental illness. It is about mental illness in the hands of a manipulator, of a calculating, very, very bad woman.
Do you have any idea why the defendant would have these feelings toward you? I don't want you to speculate. Do you know why he might have them?
I think I'm a pretty nice person.
She actually thought she could take the witness stand and maintain the position that she's maintained since Rusty's death, which is that there was no relationship with Hemy.
The gun, in this case, was in Hemy's hand. But the trigger, I respectfully suggest, was pulled by Andrea Sneiderman.
Ms. Sneiderman was placed under arrest earlier today and is currently being booked into the DeKalb County Jail. Outlined in that 19-page indictment are 8 counts that I, along with Chief Assistant Don Geary, are prepared to argue in a court of law.
Andrea Sneiderman is pleading to nothing. We expect that she will be exonerated at trial. She has every reason to believe she will be exonerated at trial, and she is going to.
Well, her trial starts Monday, but Andrea Sneiderman will not be facing murder charges. Yesterday, the judge approved the district attorney's motion to dismiss the most serious charges.
30's qualified. Number 30 qualified. Bring the next one. Hello, you can stand right there. You can come over just a little bit more, Ms. Green.
Thank you. Juror 31, you let us know that you might have a conflict or a hardship if you were selected for this jury. Can you tell me what that is?
Me being a disabled veteran, I do have appointments at the VA.
All right.
So they might conflict with whatever, day you might have.
Okay. Are you having any medical situation that is so immediate that you couldn't reschedule those appointments if you had to?
No.
Okay.
Well, do you have any appointments scheduled right now over the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Yes, I do.
When is the first one?
August the 16th or something.
What time?
That morning. I don't know exactly what time. I think
Is this an appointment that if you change the appointment, your life would be at risk?
No, it wouldn't.
All right, next question.
Thank you. Anything other than those, that one doctor appointment or potentially other doctor's appointments that you have a scheduling problem or a hardship if you were on the jury?
Nothing other than me working, but I work that hard out.
Okay. That would be all right?
That would be okay.
Okay. And because you are a nurse with Kaiser?
Yes, with Kaiser Permanente.
Okay. And in what facility do you work?
I'm a traveling nurse. I work in all of their facilities.
Okay. When you travel, do you sometimes travel overnight?
No. We just strictly 9 to 6, 8 to 5:30, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
No weekends.
No weekends. All right.
No.
You let us know, too, that you had heard something about the case, but that was kind of in passing. Is that?
Yes, that's like passing through, getting dressed to go to work, you know, something like that.
News on.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Maybe heard something like that.
All right. Do you have any opinions about the case? Do you feel like you know enough to have an opinion about the case?
No.
Okay. You let us know that you had heard something since Friday, since you had come to fill out the questionnaire.
I heard something this morning
Okay.
when I was getting dressed to come here. And that's basically that they, you know, they were trying to pick a jury. That was it.
Anything that you think might impact your ability to be fair and impartial if you were a juror on this case?
No.
You think of anything I didn't ask you about that might impact your ability to be fair and impartial?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Clay?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. You have training as both a nurse and a mortician, is that correct?
Mortician and drill sergeant when I was in the military.
Okay. And how long were you in the military for?
13 years.
Okay. And what branch of the military were you in?
Army.
Okay. And were you a nurse in the Army or a mortician?
No, I was studying to be a mortician in the Army.
Okay. In your current job, I guess you go from one location to the other, taking vital signs for folks who are attempting to get insured by Kaiser Permanente. Is that correct?
They are already insured by Kaiser. And what I do is I assist the doctors, the PAs, and some of the main nurses, our head nurses. I work in different facilities like cardiology, oncology, whatever. Whoever's out of work that day, that's who I fill in for. So I can do a number of things.
So you are doing a variety of things depending on who is out on that particular day.
Yes.
You are somewhat of a jack of all trades, at least in the nursing field, I guess.
Jane of all trades, yes.
Okay. Yes, well said, ma'am, okay. You are very active in a number of community groups, if I understand correctly. First off, the VFW Delta Sigma Theta. What is that exactly?
That's a sorority. When you go to college, you know, normally we do different sororities, Alpha Kappa Alpha, you know, AKA.
Okay. And then it says here, if I'm reading this correctly, Junior Achievement Day at various schools.
Yes.
What exactly do you do on those occasions?
We go out and we try to teach young children about the business aspects. You know, Kaiser gives us that day to go to whatever school they choose. And I might go in and I might talk about some parts of education. Then again, I might talk about business, how to do a checkbook, you know, just numerous of things that they, you know, should know in life growing up.
When you are giving those presentations, how old are the kids you are talking to?
Sometimes we deal with 8th graders, 6th graders, you know, nobody other than 10th at the most. 10th.
Okay. And for the most part, are you advising them or making them aware of what goes on in a real business and encouraging them to become entrepreneurs?
I am.
Okay. Okay. Do you do that how often again? I'm sorry. You may have said, I apologize.
I don't do it often, but it's just that whenever they have a career day coming up, we might volunteer to do it.
Okay. You had indicated that you are a Baptist and on Sundays you attend religious services on Sundays times 3. Do you go to actually 3 different religious services on Sundays?
Now, that might be 3 times a month.
Oh, okay. I was having a hard time understanding that myself, ma'am. So you're a patient individual if you can do that. Okay. All right. I'm relieved to hear you say that. Okay. And you have brief knowledge of the case. Pretty much, you'd be passing by the TV screen and you'd see some reference to it.
Yes.
Other than that, you heard something about it, I guess, in either the paper or the radio this morning?
This morning, yes, the
Yep.
TV, when I was passing
And
by getting dressed.
did you make any reference to the nature of the charges pending or anything of that sort?
I wasn't paying any attention to that. Only I heard that there was a jury being, and I just said, oh, okay.
And you thought, gosh, that's probably the one I'm going to.
Yeah, don't let me listen to that no more.
Okay.
Let me keep going.
Okay. Other than that, is it fair to say that you have virtually no knowledge of this particular case?
It is.
Okay. While you were in the military, did you ever have occasion to serve in any sort of court proceeding, such as a court-martial?
No, I did not.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Sure do appreciate it.
Thank you. Follow the instructions of the clerk.
All right.
State.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, ma'am.
Qualified. Number 31. 32 should be next. You may question.
Juror 32? You let us know that you thought you had formed an opinion about this case. You raised your card this morning. Can you tell me what your opinion is?
Well, based on from what I saw in the news, I think she was guilty.
Okay. And are you a little anxious talking about it? No? No. Okay. What have you seen the news recently and you're basing your opinion on that, or have you followed the case?
No, it was basically when it first came out.
When it first came out? Okay. All right. Would you say that you had followed the case? Have you followed it since it came out? No. No? Okay. Your opinion, you understand that, what you see in the news is not evidence, or what you might see on TV isn't evidence. The jurors in this case would have to decide the case just based on what they hear in the courtroom. Do you think you'd be able to do that? Yeah. Okay. You think you have any opinion that's so strong that you couldn't put it aside and just keep an open mind and base your opinion on what you hear in the courtroom?
No.
Okay. No, you don't have an opinion so strong that you couldn't do that? Okay. All right. You have got, do you have any other feelings or opinions about the case that you think we should be aware of?
No.
Oh. You let us know that there was someone, either you or someone else, had applied for a job in the Fulton County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
Okay, who was that?
Me.
That was you? Okay. Mm-hmm. And that was last year?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And have you applied, or are you interested in applying for any other jobs in law enforcement?
No.
Okay. Was it a civilian position?
No.
It was a detention officer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you have got, you've got 2 kids at Drew Charter? Okay. When did they go back to school?
Tomorrow.
All right. Anything, you live with your parents?
Yes.
Okay, so is there anything about your kid's situation that would cause a hardship for your family if you were selected for a juror for a couple of weeks in this case?
I'm just going to provide our transportation.
The transportation?
Yes.
Okay. The judge has let the jurors know that court would run from 9 a.m. in the morning till just about 5 o'clock at night. So if that was your daily schedule, would you have any transportation problems or any problems with your family based on that? You being here at that time? They get out at 4?
Yes.
Okay. Could you make arrangements, or could you have a friend, or maybe your parents or someone else make arrangements for the kids? Okay. If you're not there to pick them up at 4, what happens?
Late fees.
Late fees and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I think there's some more.
Mr. Morgan, if you could just remain for the defense lawyer to ask questions. Mr. Morgan, she was leaving. Mr. Morgan?
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I was
No, it's fine. Excuse me.
Juror number 32, in the jury questionnaire, you said you had formed an opinion on this case early on. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was that based on your own observations of the news, or was it based on discussions with others? What was it? Okay. Not in discussions with other people. Do you get your news only from television, or do you get it from radio, the internet? What are your sources?
Internet, radio.
Okay. And did you hear information on this case on all 3?
On 2 of them, yes.
Okay, on 2 of them. Okay. Now, you said you formed an opinion early on.
Yes.
Okay. Was your opinion that Mrs. Sneiderman was guilty of all the charges that you heard she was charged with early on in this case?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, so you'd already formed an opinion that she was guilty of murder then?
If she arranged for it, yes.
Okay, my question was, had you already formed an opinion based on the news accounts that our client was guilty of murder, and you understand she's not charged with that?
I understand that she's not charged with that.
Okay, but you had formed an opinion?
Yes.
Okay, that she's guilty?
Yes.
Okay. And that opinion has not changed?
I hadn't seen any other thing that would make me change it.
Okay, so you still believe she's guilty of murder?
Yes, until proven otherwise.
Okay, do you understand it's not the defendant's job to prove anything? It's the state's job to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Okay. And yet you're stating that the defense would have to prove it's innocent before you could find a not guilty verdict.
I would have to see something different.
You would have to see something different from the defense because you've already formed an opinion on this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
You may follow the instruction of the clerk. Yes, ma'am.
Is yours acceptable to the state?
Morgan.
Your Honor, she has stated over and over again, she's already formed an opinion on this case, that the defense would have to prove it's innocent before she could render a different opinion. She's not qualified.
Ms. Cross.
Your Honor, I believe she is qualified. She said that whatever opinion she has, she's able to set aside. She understands that the evidence comes in the courtroom for this juror and not from anywhere else. I also don't think it's fair to judge her response or take her response at face value. She hasn't yet had the benefit of the court's instruction about the burden of proof and who's responsible for proving what. She hasn't yet had that, and to ask her questions based on the instruction or an understanding of an instruction she hasn't yet heard, I don't think disqualifies this juror. In fact, she is qualified, and we'd ask that she be kept in the pool.
All right, I'm gonna let her go for cause. Bring in the next juror.
Juror number 33. You raised your card this morning when the judge asked about scheduling conflicts or a hardship if you were to serve on this jury. What do you want to talk to us about?
I'm the sole provider for my son.
Okay, and your son's 5 months old?
Yes.
When you say you're the sole provider, what day-to-day responsibilities do you have?
He actually lives with me.
Okay. Does he go to daycare or any other
I have
care?
somebody watching while I work.
Okay, while you work?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were here instead of at work from 9 in the morning until 5 at night, is that something that would work? That's something that you could work out?
Possibly, I can't say for sure right now.
Okay, but you are saying that would you say you're the primary caregiver for that child?
Yeah.
And you work at Home Depot, and you mentioned on your questionnaire that you've got concerns about not being paid while you were on?
I actually clarified that, and they do.
They do pay you? Okay, good. All right.
So if you're here, you will be getting paid, so you don't have to worry about not getting paid. And you do, and you can make arrangements for someone to care for your son, is that correct?
I don't know. I can try, is what I'm saying.
But I'm saying you work now, is that correct?
Yes.
And when you're working, someone cares for your son?
Yes, but it's a certain schedule that I work early in the morning. I don't get out too late in the evening. My problem is I have problems finding somebody to watch them later in the evening. I usually get off around
What do you
2
call
or 3.
late in the evening?
Like 4 or 5 is what I usually have a problem with, because I get off around 2 or 3.
2 or 3 in the afternoon?
Yes.
But if you, go ahead.
So if I was to be here around 4 or 5, it'd be a problem as far as finding somebody to watch.
Would you have someone watching him today?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You raised your card when you were asked about knowing someone or being close to someone who had a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you tell me who that is to you?
My mother's grandmother is still alive, and she has dementia.
Okay. Do you do much caring for her, or do you see her very frequently?
I don't see her frequently.
Okay.
She's close to me.
Yeah. Other than that, do you have anybody close to you? Okay. Have you heard anything about this case?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any opinions based on what you heard about the case? Anything you heard in the last couple days change your mind about that, or cause you to have an opinion one way or the other?
Yes.
Okay. What's that? Hey, you hesitate a little bit like you were thinking. Can you tell me what you're thinking?
I really don't know too much about the case, but from what I did hear, I don't know how to word it. I don't know which way to sway you.
Okay, well, tell me this. What did you hear?
What I did hear was more about what happened prior to this case, the other case.
Okay. All right, the other case, does the name Hemy Neuman sound familiar to you? Okay. And you didn't indicate in the questionnaire that you recognize that name, but now do you have a little more information about? Okay. Knowing what you know now that you didn't know before, does that cause you to feel one way or the other about the defendant being guilty or not guilty?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that change your opinion about the defendant?
It doesn't necessarily change my opinion because I don't know the extent of this case.
Okay.
But I'm saying it could.
It could. Okay. Okay. And we're asking, so I appreciate you bringing it up. Do you feel like you have any opinions or you have any information that would make it difficult for you to be fair and impartial if you were to sit as a juror in this case? Okay. You have been the victim of a robbery that was not reported to the police?
No.
Okay. Can you tell me why you didn't report it to the police?
Personally, I felt like it would have been a waste of time.
Okay. Yeah. Why would you think it might have been a waste of time?
Past situations that happened with people close to me and myself, when certain incidents were reported and it was just kind of shrugged off or laughed at.
Okay, you thought maybe they wouldn't take you seriously?
Right.
Or put any time or resources into it?
Right.
Okay. Those other experiences that you were talking about, was that here in DeKalb County?
No.
Okay. Where was that?
It was actually in another state.
In another state?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that where you were the victim of a robbery too?
No, that was here.
That was here in DeKalb. Okay, but based on what your impression of law enforcement in another community, that's what
Yes.
caused you. Okay, I understand. Do you have any opinions about law enforcement, just in general, good or bad? Have you got a friend who's employed at General Electric or GE?
Yes.
Okay, who is that person?
The sister of my child's mother.
Okay. Do you know that person's name?
A-N-A-J.
All right. And the only reason I'm asking is because I expect evidence to be from many people who worked at GE. When you reviewed the questionnaire and it had all the list of witnesses, did you see that person's name? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Petrie, if you could remain, please ask a couple questions.
Sir, earlier on, when the court asked for people to raise their hands, and we got just a few hands up, about people that could be impartial, you raised your hand. And my impression at that time was a lot of people didn't understand the question. You did understand it. You understood that the judge was asking you, can you be fair? Can you be impartial, that is not biased? And you raised your hand, correct? Okay. Since you filled out the questionnaire, you have realized certain things about this case that you didn't know earlier. But I understood you to say that even though you now know that this case is connected to an earlier case that you did know something about, you could still be fair in this case. Okay. Now, is there anything, well, I'm trying to figure out. So obviously what you knew about the other case sort of came back to you over the weekend. Do you think that there are other details or aspects of the previous case that are sort of there in the back of your mind too that might come forward and color your judgment as to Mrs. Sneiderman's guilt or innocence?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. As of right now, I'm impartial.
Okay, right now you're impartial. The press that you have seen since Friday, can you tell us exactly what that was? As best you can recall.
Well, it was kind of flipping through the channels, and I stopped on a certain news station, and I saw that they were talking about picking a jury and they kind of ran through what this was all about, and that's kind of it. They kind of ran through the previous case and this case a little bit, how it's all tied together. But it was more or less talking about they're in the process of picking the jury.
And you understand, with all due respect to the members of the press, that what you hear or read about a case may be totally inaccurate as to what actually happened. And you understand that if you were selected as a juror, your job is going to be to say to yourself, okay, I got to forget what channel such and such a journalist said about this, and I got to look at the evidence, and I got to take the law from Judge Adams. You could do that. Now, let me ask you, sir, I'm a little confused about your child care situation. You normally get off 2 to 3, and you are the sole caretaker for your infant son from that time till bedtime? Okay. You don't know yet, if I understood you correctly, that you can make arrangements for those 2 or 3 hours that are unaccounted for right now.
Exactly, and that's coming from past experience when I've tried to have somebody watching for that extra amount of time in the past.
Okay. Is there some way that that you could report back to the court as to whether or not you were successful in making those arrangements? In other words, obviously, you don't know you can do them right now. You don't know yes or no. What kind of inquiries would you have to make, and what kind of time frame would be involved in your being able to come back here and say, here's what I've learned. Yes, I can do it, or no, I can't do it.
No more than 48 hours.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This follows the instruction of the clerk. What state's position?
No objection to this, Chair.
Your Honor, I believe the juror is qualified. I would ask the court to allow this juror to just report back at the court's directed time on what progress he's made. I believe he would be excusable for cause of hardship if he's unable to make those arrangements. My gut feeling is he seems that he's willing in good faith to make that attempt. Otherwise, he's qualified.
All right, I'm going to put him down as qualified. And I understand what you're asking, and he's qualified. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Juror 34, you've got some travel coming up in the month of August. Can you tell me about that?
I am going to Baltimore, Maryland for my job on, I think it's August the 11th or the 16th. And then I have a personal trip to Las Vegas on the 21st through the 26th.
21st through the 26th? Okay. Have you already made your flight arrangements?
Yes.
Okay. And are those tickets refundable by any chance?
I think they all can be maybe credited, but I know that you have to pay several $100s to get them credited, and then you forfeit that amount.
Okay. All right. The business trip you're taking to Baltimore, and you are an interior designer? Yes. Okay. And your company has, what, are you required to go on that trip?
Yes, at this point, yes. I mean, it's not life or death or organ donation or anything like that, so yes, all those things don't apply.
Okay, but your trip to Las Vegas on the 21st?
That is just an optional trip that I have planned for.
Okay. All right, any other conflicts or scheduling issues that you want to bring to our attention?
Not at the moment. I mean, as far as my job goes, I do travel, and from now I'm just saying I have not booked anything else. I can't go anywhere else until I find out what's going on with this.
Yeah.
But generally, something else would come up that I would go on another trip somewhere. Usually it's 2 work trips a month.
2 work trips a month? And are those often overnight trips?
It's usually about 4 or 5 days.
Do you travel usually by yourself when you go, or does someone else from your company go with you?
I have other people that go with me. I'm the lead designer over a group of girls, depending on how many houses are going in.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be 1, could be 6.
Okay. You let us know that you had heard about this case in the past.
Yes.
Do you have any opinions about the case?
I honestly haven't kept up with enough to know. I mean, I knew about who, like the name and then hearing the name. I think anybody in Atlanta probably has. I mean, but I haven't really kept up with it enough to know the details.
But you do know where the event took place or where the murder took place?
Yes.
Okay.
I put in the sheet, my friend's child went there at the time.
At the time? Okay. Who is your friend?
Sam and Mike Fink. It's Asher Fink is their son.
Have you talked with them about the fact that this occurred at their son's preschool?
Recently, or like when it happened?
Both.
When it happened, I believe we had a party, maybe New Year's or something, and they just mentioned that, that was at their school.
Okay.
And again, it was like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. I can't believe something like that would happen where a kid goes to school.
Okay. But that's information you learned several weeks or a month or two later at a social event?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you might have heard since that time that makes you think that you have an opinion one way or the other about the case?
No.
Okay. Do you feel for any reason you couldn't be a fair or impartial juror in a case? No. Your late husband had an issue that you let us know about.
Yes.
Okay. And you expressed some opinions about the criminal justice system in general. What are your opinions about that?
Well, as far as the stuff that he was dealing with, he was dealing with stuff before I met him, so I was kind of brought into all of that.
So you got his impression of it later. Yeah. Okay.
And also, when he was on probation for, I think it was like 5 years or something.
Okay.
In which time, you can't get a speeding ticket, you can't look at something the wrong way, you can't do whatever, and it's like, to a degree, I feel like that's a little bit unfair.
Uh-huh.
Just in general, it's like you can't get a parking ticket. That's not even doing anything wrong, really.
And that period of time that he was on probation and the restrictions and everything, is that what you mean when you said that people get stuck in the system?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And at the time of his death, he was still on probation. So.
He was? Okay. Is there anything about any of that you think impacts the way you think about how you'd serve on a criminal jury?
At the moment, no. I don't know that would be an issue at any, on a certain thing, but, his situation was such that I walked into that in the middle of all of it going on.
Yeah.
And had to just deal with the fallout.
Okay. And you were also a witness at one time and actually testified in court.
Yes.
All right. And when did that incident take place?
I think that it was in maybe 98, 99. I'm not really exactly sure what year.
Okay.
I was working as an attendant at a gas station, and two people got in an altercation in the parking lot. And one of them, the guy tried to hit this lady with his car, and so it was felony assault, is what he was charged with. And since I was standing at the edge looking out, seeing it happen, I testified for, I don't even know which side, honestly.
Okay.
I just said, we just need you to say what you saw.
And did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any, do you feel that was a good experience, a bad experience, a neutral experience?
I felt like it was enlightening.
Yeah.
The lawyer, the specific lawyer, and again, I'm not generalizing, he questioned me and then took specific things and twisted them into a way that wasn't what I said, which is also what I told the court whenever he said it. I said, I didn't say it like that, I said it like this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's a person doing that, not the system in general.
Okay.
So.
All right. All right, thank you so much.
Claire?
Thank you, sir. In describing the incident at the BP that you observed, ma'am, you said you got an interesting look at the criminal justice system. Is that correct?
All right. Maybe I should have said as a lawyer involved in the case.
Okay. And when you said you thought it was interesting to see, you said, how did you feel about the experience? You said it was interesting to see. Did you mean the actual offenses that was taking place or the subsequent intervention of the criminal justice system?
Kind of all of it. I've never been involved in anything really like that. And, going to be a witness and doing that kind of thing and being interviewed and, again, just seeing what happened the small amount of time that I was in court, it was interesting to me, and as much as, again, then having somebody say, oh, you said this, in a sentence I took out and, well, that's not exactly how it was.
Okay.
So,
did you actually testify?
Yes.
Was there a jury?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Were you cross-examined?
Yes.
Did anyone attempt to cast doubt on the believability of what you said?
No.
Okay. How long did you actually testify for, if you recall?
2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Oh,
not long.
a very brief period of
Yes,
time.
yeah.
Was it a situation where you actually got up on the witness stand?
Yeah, I believe so, yes, from what I remember. So we were in the back and couldn't see people, and then we came out just for a minute and did, had a couple questions, and then we're done.
Do you know if it was an actual trial or was there a plea of guilty and a sentencing hearing?
No, I know that it wasn't a plea of guilty. He was fighting the charges.
Okay. Did it pique your interest or make you think maybe I want to become a lawyer?
No.
Not at all, huh? Okay. You answered that without any sort of hesitation whatsoever, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, your trip that you have planned in mid-August is a business trip, is that correct, to Baltimore? Okay. And that is from a Monday through a Friday, is that correct?
From Sunday to Friday.
Okay. And you work for...
Furniture brands.
Okay. And how large of an organization is that?
Our department is about 15 people. Our parent company is Furniture Brands International, which is the company that owns Lane, Thomasville, Roy Hill, Drexel Heritage, Henry Don, Hickory Chair, so thousands of people.
What is the specific purpose of the trip?
In my job, I go and decorate model homes for new subdivisions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the houses that are going in this week are 2 of my models that are going in. So I go and lead the project. I order everything from the ground up for the house, and then I go and basically tell everybody else what to do and where everything goes, and head off any problems that arise, and then meet with our division people.
Have most of the decisions already been made as to what is going into these model homes?
Yes.
Okay. So it is now just a matter of executing the plan which already exists. Is that a fair statement? And then you are